Guys, I'm back again. In the same way that a nitty can't get enough of heroin, you guys can't get enough of me. YouTube's N'Golo Kante, deluded Gunner, I'm back again. I've been putting this off for a while, to be honest with you. People have been in my DMs asking me to speak about Chelsea in regards to their youth policy. But if any of you that have seen me on Ball Street, shout to them for having me, back, and shout to me for being me. You saw us briefly talking about the pathway at Chelsea in regards to Boga and Masonda, and I'm sure you can put any other examples of a young player that's been at Chelsea. So here it goes. Firstly, it's a bit of a weird one, Chelsea, to be honest. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, and we'd be here all day if I said all of my thoughts, to be honest with you. Conte, I will say as an outsider looking in, and it might not be right because some other managers might have, but since Conte's been there, certainly of recent years, I've seen more youngsters in and around the side now. It's completely different from being considered a genuine first teamer or first team option. But what I mean by around the side, you see them on the bench. You saw previously Loftus-Cheek on the bench. Again, I'm not speaking about playing because that would be for another video. But just keep it with the youth. So get Chalobah, Loftus-Cheek, Boga, Masonda, Ethan, I'm never going to say his last name. The Welsh young 17-year-old plays for Wales and that. You're seeing these guys around the squad now, certainly more recently than ever at Chelsea in recent years, from what I can remember. Christensen's come back on from loan and things like that. Conte has said young players have got to be patient, etc., etc. So we have to take that with a pinch of salt. So it's not all rosy for Chelsea fans or Chelsea as a whole. Chelsea fans, of course, they want to see their boy, a local boy come through the academy. There hasn't been one since Terry. Chelsea have had numerous good youth prospects. They're young players, along with City. If it's not City, it's Chelsea, bullying up every competition they enter. So yeah, there's clearly talented players. There's clearly a strong pathway. And Abramovich, since he's come in and since he's come in, has clearly put the youth academy to use in the sense that he's invested heavily in it together with the scouts that he's recruited. I'll bring that for another vid, and it's paying dividends with a strong youth side from under 18s all the way to under 23s, and the players that are scattered around Europe, the 20 or 30 loan players. So it is a weird one. Like I said before I started waffling, there's a lot of players in and around the side, but as for genuine first teamers, it's not the same, is it? Like, let's take Maitland-Niles at Arsenal to help the example. I think he can play first team. Wenger clearly believes in him, but is he considered a genuine first team option? I don't think so. Why? Because if he's lucky enough to be on the bench, he's not included. He's technically in the first team. He trains, he travels when fit, but he's on the cusp. Is he considered a genuine option? Is Wenger looking at, I don't know, the City game, for example? Is he looking at, I'll start Maitland-Niles in the midfield? I don't think so. So that same logic is applied to Conte at Chelsea and several other clubs. But let's keep it with Chelsea. How do I define it? There's many different ways. They've got many different loan players and categories you could class them as, and I've tried to. So firstly, I've got it written down what I call the for-profit loanees or for-profit signings. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne, they were told they were going to make a tenfold on that by the scout, and I do think they wanted to give him every chance to make the first team, but it wasn't meant to be. At the time, tidy profit. Now Kevin De Bruyne is worth triple what they got for him. So what they got for him, and they're kicking their teeth at more money that could have been made if they sold him, or they just kept him. He walks into that side. But either way, he was sold. Salah was brought in. Is it Mayinga, the young American centre half? I cannot say his name. Urumo, forgive me. The Nigerian centre half, I believe. Pazon, Rodriguez. There's all these sort of players from 18, 19, 20, and all of these ages that are a bit bewildering. They'll sign for Chelsea, they'll get work permits, or they'll be farmed out on loan, and Chelsea will make a tidy profit. Hector as well. He's not young, but you get where I'm going with that. Then you've also got the players that were trapped in a loan spell that were kind of good enough, like Traore. He was someone Jose liked, someone that when you spoke about years ago, it was Masonda, Traore, and a couple others. Traore was getting in the first team, was getting chances, and then got trapped in the loan system somewhat. I don't think he went on that many loans, but he's someone that got trapped in the loan system. Can't force his way into the side, has now left. The same goes for Van Ginkel. I think he's been signed since 2013 and he's only made 2 or 3 appearances. Baker is now at Middlesbrough on another loan spell. It's not the initial period of his loan spell there isn't going to plan. So there's them sort of players. You've got Izzy Brown. You've got Izzy Brown that's on numerous loan spells. So there's them sort of players. Whether they have a realistic chance of making it, whether they're good enough, but ultimately they need to play games, I don't know. It's going to be hard for any youth academy player of any club to make it, because if we look at Chelsea, for as talented as they are, and they should give youth a chance. Look at the midfield now, away from form and what's happened in the Premier League. Cesc Fabregas, World Cup winner. Bakayoko, young prospect, won a league at Monaco. Kante, I don't need to tell you about Kante. I am YouTube's N'Golo Kante, for God's sake. Kante, all of these sort of guys on the flanks, Pedro and Willian. Say what you want about them. Compared to these youth players, it is tight. Like, let's take Masonda for example. He's actually trained at fullback and at central midfield at fullback to get into the side in their new formation that Conte's installed, and he's a central midfield sort of player and he can play on the flanks. So that's several positions. But is he going to break in the 10? Is Conte going to go with him as opposed to Cesc, who is a creative sparkle? I know Hazard doesn't always play through the middle, but he gets the freedom coming off the flanks, going in the middle. Is he going to ditch either one or somewhat restrict them to allow Masonda to play? That's only a question he could answer. And right now it doesn't look like that. And then you've got the loan spells. I forgot to mention. So we've got trapped loanees, we've got for profit loanees, and I forgot to mention the genuine first teamers. The players I think that are genuine first team spots or potential for first team, but it's just there's simply too much bodies, and you can't play. Everybody can't play as many games as there are in all comps. Not everybody can play. There's 11 players. So I'm going with Ike Ugbo. He looks decent. For potential and stuff, I don't know. Chelsea fans know more than him about me, but he looks decent. You've got Mason Mount, who's killing it in Holland and doing his thing there. You've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek that's been on the cusp and he's doing his thing at Palace. I believe he should be bust back into the side when he comes back or given a proper chance, because I really like him, man. You've got Masonda that was on a couple loan spells. While we're on the topic of Masonda, I've got it here. He's 22 in a few weeks, in October. His contract's up in 2019. Can you blame him for considering his future? He's going to be 22. Next year he'll be 23. He needs to play football now. He's no longer that 16, 17, 18-year-old kid earmarked for stardom by Chelsea. I mean, he got recalled from his loan spell last year when he was at Betis, and there was Roma and all these clubs wanted him. Conte let him stay, kept him in the first team for that 6 months to the end of the season. He's now here. He's played in the Nottingham. He played against Nottingham Forest and things like that. But he wants to play Prem. He wants to get proper minutes. It's hard to show what you can do if you're not given a chance like that. But by that same logic, he has to take his chance when it comes, man. On the topic of Masonda, 16-17 season, 8 appearances for Betis before being recalled in January, like I just said. 15-16, 16 La Liga appearances. I think he joined halfway through the season. I could be wrong about that. 17-18, obviously he's made a couple appearances in the EFL, and I think he's played 25 minutes in the Premier League for Chelsea. So we're in October. He's only played 25 minutes. You can't blame him for being frustrated, to be honest. If I had to name a couple youngsters, there's a lot of talented youngsters at Chelsea, man. I like a lot of them. I like Taylor Crossdale. I like bare players, man. There's Mason Mount. There's Wakefield, who's fallen off a bit, but he caught my eyes, an under 16-year-old. There's George McCracken. There's bare little players here and there. Chalobah's younger brother's not too bad. There's bare players. But if I had to put my hat on some that I'd say that I would be keeping a close eye on to come into the team, I'd say, and there's a couple other defenders, like centre-halves, but I'm not going to include them. I'd say Loftus-Cheek, Masonda, Dijon Sterling. I love that kid, man. Left back, right back, whatever. He's on this thing. Hudson-Odoi, McCracken. There are just a couple players that I would be looking at. Mount. So that's like 5 or 6 that I would be looking at in regards to first team pushing and things. But to a degree, we know Chelsea, a club like Chelsea, with all of these young players and all these things I've spoken about, Terry shouldn't be the last player to come through. But at the same time, it's almost an impossible job for Chelsea, because you just got to look at the simple stuff. I mean, they needed a striker. They've bought Morata. Imagine they gave Tammy Abraham a chance. People would turn up their nose. Now, that's nothing against Tammy. That just shows that they need to compete. If they gave Tammy chances, he hasn't got 20 league goals. He's at a facility in Swansea where he can do that. But if they gave him that, whereas we got Lacazette, say what you want, Lukaku's at United, all the other Kane's at Spurs. Imagine they fell by the wayside. People would say something. So it is an impossible job balancing being competitive and giving youth a chance. Now, the loan system, it is flawed in my opinion, but when you see players like Christensen, 18 months playing against Lewandowski, playing in the Champions League and come true like that, you can't fault it. For me, there's no blanket solution for everything. What's worked for Christensen, because they finally gave him a chance, isn't going to work for another couple young players. There's some young players that thrive on just getting first team straight away. Let's take Marcus Rashford. He got his chance. Whatever situation led to his getting his chances, he got his chance and he took it. Imagine he went down the loan route. You might not hear from him. The same goes for Iwobi, because Iwobi weren't one of the most highly rated players here. Sometimes when you go on loan, you're out of the thoughts, you're out of the club's thoughts, you're at a team that's not built around you, that doesn't play to your caters to your needs, and eventually it doesn't happen for you. I don't know the answers, guys. But yeah, man, all I do know is that Chelsea got some... Bogga's hard as well. I'm pretty peed off that he went Birmingham on loan. I felt that was a cop-out. He could have went Premier League loan, to be honest. He's been doing his thing in France and them things there. But yeah, I ain't got an answer, guys. I don't have an answer. But Chelsea do need to do something about it, and they clearly are. And Conte, based on a couple players on the bench this year and getting games, Chelsea fans could be how do I put this? They could be filled with promise, but at the same time, take it with a pinch of salt. To be honest, like I said, there's not one simple answer for this. To be honest with you guys, but guys, Deluded Guna, I'm signing out. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest.